Otherwise, they concern themselves with what makes war. Why do people do terrible things? They move toward sociology. Then they move toward other directions. How do we deal with that problem? What makes it? Now, how many of you know there was a guy named Jeffrey Dahmer? Pretty good, okay. He was a serial killer that cut people up and put them in the refrigerator. Before Jeffrey Dahmer, there was a guy named Albert Fish. That's before your time, probably. He ate 45 children. They believe he did. Albert Fish. And one psychiatrist named Wortham was an amazing guy. He said, don't kill him. I want to try to find out what made him that way. This is rare of a psychiatrist. And here's what he found out. When the kid was about 8 years old, he was sitting in bed with an erection. Little boys don't know what the hell it's about, and they touch it because it feels good. And he wasn't masturbating, he was touching his private parts. His mother was an old-time Baptist. She came in, and he didn't hide himself. She said, you're going to burn in hell touching that part of your body. You will burn eternally. That kid started to shake. Can you understand that? Okay, mother said at 3 in the morning he was screaming. And she came into the bedroom. He had stuck needles into his genitals because he didn't want to go to hell. No. He used to take minority kids into the woods and try to cut their genitals off. Now, if you bring up a kid in a distorted environment, what the hell do you think a patriotic soldier is? You show pictures of Japanese with crooked teeth, bayonet a pregnant woman, lift the bayonet up, and kick her. Enlistment goes up 75%. The Japanese make the same kind of movies about Americans. American gangster, they call them. They used to say, Yankee, come out and fight. The Japanese used to say that. Then the minor birds used to say that. You know minor birds? Yankee, come out and fight. And they used to shoot the birds. They had a lot of trouble. And then we took all the islands in the South Pacific because we told the natives the Japanese would come in and take your land away, and we showed them how to use guns. Okay? Lies all over the place by stupid people. The Pentagon, although the men are clean cut and go to university and really believe they're helping the country, they really do. If they really want to help the country, they would study social psychology, sociology, to try to bridge the difference between nations. So as a kid, I tried to design a society, which when I got to California, I hitchhiked to California. I'll go back to what happened in school, all that later. I hitchhiked to California, got a job at an aircraft factory, and met a pilot that flew in World War I. He told me that he flew over Krupp Munition Works with orders not to bomb it. He had bombs under the plane. He flew over 8 times with orders not to bomb that plane. He could not understand that. After the war, there was a magazine, I'm sure you all heard of it, called Fortune magazine. So anybody never heard of it? They ran an article called Arms and the Men. It's showing how DuPont had holdings in R.J. Farben. Do you know what that means? An American company.
We didn't bomb it because it was one of our companies.
What?
We didn't bomb it because there was one of our companies down there.
It was supported by...
You would have to get the book Arms and the Men. I can't find it anymore. You might be able to find it on the internet. Then there was another book called 100 Million Guinea Pigs. How many of you heard of that? Nobody. All right. That book was a bestseller in America. Everybody bought it. And it attacked the drug companies. It said, why don't you do research on carrot juice, celery juice, natural things? Why do you make pills all the time? We don't live by pills. We live by nutritious food. And they demanded that the government set up a special agency called the Pure Food and Drug Administration. That's where it came from. The book called 100 Million Guinea Pigs, which exposed the drug companies. I don't even see the book today. I got probably one of the only copies. So there's a lot of wonderful books called Mind in the Making by James Harvey Robinson. How we get to be the way we are. The goddamn Jews, the goddamn wops, the goddamn Frenchmen. Get some dumb Polak to clean out your cellar. The division of the races. You divide and conquer. Women's rights. There shouldn't be women's rights. Women should have access to anything men have access to. You don't have women's rights. Black rights, Polish rights, all that's bullshit.
It's like business ethics.
Ethics is a word
Yeah.
that has no meaning. Okay? Let me talk about ethics. Let's say you work in a department store. You're an honest John, okay? And a lady wants to buy a lamp for $20. But you know if she goes next door, she gets the same lamp for $15. So you say, go next door, you won't be working that long. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Besides, you don't get paid. You get commission sometimes selling a car. He makes so much if he sells so many cars. But if you go to a lot 3 blocks down, pick up the same car for $250 less, because he's an ethical guy, he won't be working that car lot very long. So it's hard to be decent in a corrupt world. Getting back to Carl Sagan, he wanted to talk to extraterrestrials. Anything that can fly 100 billion light years through space is not like us. And you're not going to communicate with him. He's not going to say, I want to meet your president. Your president's an asshole. All presidents were assholes. They're all stupid all the way back. Every one of them. We won't even make the history books of the future. Now, when you go back to school, if you talk this way, you better be back up with whatever you can bring. You know what I mean? Because your college professors, a lot of them are opportunists. They're part of the establishment. Universities depend on grants. And to have a guy like me lecture there is not very good for grants. And NBC and CBS, they depend on Coca-Cola selling alcohol, beer, which are responsible for more automobile accidents, people killed in automobile accidents than the war. We have 300 submarines in America. Each one has more destructive power than all the wars in history. Now what are you going to accomplish with that? What are you going to win? Now they're building a place, some of you may know this, for senators and congressmen under a mountain with 6 months supply of food. How many of you knew that? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6. Now, if you're there 6 months, what do you come out to? A burnt out radioactive environment? What kind of mentality do you have? And I can't get on any broadcasting company because they think I'm against the country. I'm not against anything except stupidity. Now, Roxanne and I were invited to Dubai. They sent us an email saying, Jock, we'd like you to design a new city, a theme park, and a new university. So I went there. And when I got there, they said, what do you think of our city? I said, what's it for? They wanted me to design the tallest building in the world when I got there. I said, what for? They said, we want to be better than the United States. Now, it's operated by pinheads and businessmen. So they built a big desalinization plant. And they flew me over it, and Roxanne, and they took us, that 40-foot limousine took us all over, and they had this big desalinization plant. I said, what do you do with the water? They said, we build a water park, theme park, where people slide down. It's a desert country. There's no water for food. You think they build a hydroponics garden, you know what I mean? Some way to grow food. The prince was an asshole. And the guys that worked for the prince were also jerks. They were very backward. So I said, your system depends on tourists. And in another 6 months or so, the system's going to collapse due to the fact you're not going to have many tourists.